Hello students, how's it going? Hope everyone is doing well. Instructor Holland here with VLP Network. Today going to be doing kind of a little bit of a different video for you guys, kind of an unorthodox video outside of the classroom where we're going to be taking more of a relaxed approach. I apologize that the second portion of the firearms video has not come out yet, the range portion. That's because I've been pretty hard pressed actually getting to the range. The closest range that I can get to that allows me to do the specific maneuvers that I'm going to teach is actually about an hour away. So that's one of the issues. The other issue is that I've just had a whole bunch of things happen in my personal life. Nothing bad, just stuff, general life stuff that I've had to take care of. I'm currently undergoing an EMT course, so that's one of the things. I'll be making some videos about that as well, so that way you guys can start to understand some medical knowledge. But I'm also looking to get into the police academy. Been going through that as well. And also, my brother just got married, my little brother. I was his best man, so I had to do, everything that a best man does. Get the bachelor party ready, plan everything out, write a speech, just a whole bunch of different stuff. But rest assured, now that once that stuff is over, going to be going to the range as soon as I possibly can in order to do those things, to make our second firearm video. So what is today's class? Well, today's little lesson is going to be kind of a quick short lesson on certain things that you can buy to keep in your home that make your home and your life in general just better prepared in case the catastrophe hits. People often wonder what they should have stocked in their home. Your home, and this is just my personal opinion, in a serious scenario is relatively going to be your base of operations, unless you are in a very, very heavily populated area like, the main street of a city, a gigantic apartment complex inside of, let's say, like New York City, for example. Even if you live out in the suburbs, your house is probably going to be the primary area that you're going to be staying during a very serious situation. And the reason for that is because you know the area, you know your home, you can defend it better, and it's already yours. It's a base of operations from which you can go out and you can do specific things. This has to do with not just, the crazy disasters that people think of, like a nuclear disaster or, martial law and stuff like that, but also just natural disasters or a global pandemic in this specific case. So everyone says you need to get your house stocked up. You need to make sure that your house is stocked with a whole bunch of different things in order to prepare. So that way, if you're cut off from, let's say, mainstream supply, things like the grocery store and stuff like that. You can't get things brought to you via Amazon, all the different packaging companies. You are isolated in your home and you are cut off from all outside supply. What should you have in your home should that situation occur, so that way you can at least stay healthy and stay safe? The problem is that people don't really have the funds to buy that stuff often. You'll see these big tubs of freeze-dried food that go for $200-300 sometimes. You'll see all this crazy gear that you can buy that are really, really expensive. And the problem is that most people, especially people who have been hit pretty hard by the COVID virus, their jobs and stuff like that, they aren't able to afford a whole lot now. So that's what this video is going to be aimed at. I understand the need to try and prep on a budget. I have to do it myself sometimes. So it's very important for you to be able to get the best deals necessary while at the same time getting the best stuff to keep your house and keep your car and everything like that properly prepared. So today we're going to be going to, of all places, one of my favorite stores. Actually, I kind of view it as like the adult playground. You don't really think that when you're a kid, but when you're older, there's a whole bunch of good stuff there. And that is the dollar store. So what do you think? Can we buy enough stuff? Can we find stuff at the dollar store to properly reinforce our house in terms of food and medical supplies and stuff like that? Just stuff that we can find just to make sure our house is properly stocked in case the worst happens. Well, that's what we're going to find out. I'm willing to bet we're going to be able to find a lot of good stuff while simultaneously saving ourselves a lot of money. So with that being said, let's drive over there and let's find out. Now, luckily for me, guys, I actually live right across the street from a dollar store and from a grocery store, so I actually don't even have to travel that far, which is, kind of nice. There it is. Right on. All right. Right over there. All right, we're in. I'm trying not to be that weirdo that's talking to himself. But let's see what we can find here. Oh, already found some stuff. I'm gonna grab it and throw it in my thing. I'm gonna show you guys when I get home. Honestly, guys, I love the dollar store because you can find so much good stuff here. Things that like you use like in everyday life that, you know, eventually you're gonna need to replace. Why go to the grocery store and spend $5 on it? Stuff like, you know, spices, and this is just in general. This has nothing to do with preparation or anything. Just in general, you can save so much money just by coming here and getting stuff that normally you'd spend, like, you know, a lot of money on. There's the toilet paper for all my pandemic toilet paper takers. Okay, my basket's full. Let's check out and then go home and see what I got. Okay guys, so we're all done. I have a whole bunch of stuff here in my passenger seat that I'm gonna bring back to the house right now. I just wanted to say, it's absolutely crazy just how much you can find in a dollar store that is of decent quality, that you can buy in bulk and save yourself a whole lot of money. I mean, just simple things like spices and, you know, different types of foodstuffs and, you know, just the stuff that we kind of replace in our everyday lives, you know, that don't really mean a whole lot. We can get a whole lot of stuff at the dollar store and save ourselves a lot of money. I don't really know why we go and we buy everything over at the grocery store. So I just wanted to make that quick little note. But we're gonna go back to my house now. I'm gonna display everything that I got. I got a whole bunch of stuff, and we're gonna show just how easy it can be to prep on a budget. The stuff that I got is not stuff that is, you know, crazy survival equipment. It's just basic stuff that you should have in your home, in your car, just in general. So that way, if something happens and you end up cut off from what would be considered, you know, first world society for a little while, and you do need to rely on the stuff that you have in your home or in your car, it should be this stuff that you go and you accrue regularly, and you do so over a very short period of time, or in some cases over a very long period of time. You don't need to go and buy this stuff all at once and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars all at once. You can accrue this stuff over a long time, and that's probably the biggest thing. I have people say, well, Holland, why should I spend a lot of money on something that could happen? Well, you don't need to spend a lot of money. Go and buy some stuff periodically over time, you know, a little bit of money here, a little bit of money here, and you know, just who knows, maybe make some particular day of the month your prep day, where you go out and you say that you're going to save $20 to go buy some stuff at the dollar store, and that $20 is going to be spent going towards buying things for your prep room or your prep kit or your food stores, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just go to the dollar store, see what they got. They have a lot of good stuff, and I'm about to show you. Okay guys, I'm back at home. I'm not at the black table today. Today I'm using my bed because the space is large enough for me to fit everything. I actually got a decent amount of stuff over at the Dollar Tree to show you guys. So you're gonna have to deal with the black comforter covered in cat hair. My girlfriend's cats are on this thing all the time, spreading the cat hair all around, which is fine. But it's the space big enough for me to kind of show everything that I have. So dollar store prep. What is essential stuff that every household should have and should maintain a large store of in order to stay better prepared and ahead of any bad stuff that might occur. In a scenario where you are cut off from mainstream society and you know, the kind of the infrastructure of the United States starts to halt, or there is a severe shortage on stuff like we saw with the COVID-19 pandemic, what are some things that we can get for cheap on the budget over at the dollar store that are going to help keep our base of operations, in this case our house, better prepared? Well, obviously the first thing that comes to mind is food, right? So if electricity is cut off, your refrigeration and freezer units are going to be only, you know, able to maintain the cool coolness of the interior temperature for so long. And what that means is all of your food is going to go out the window, right? So you better eat it quick or make sure that you have plenty of perishables. And fortunately for us, perishables is something that the dollar store has plenty of. So let's take a look. So right here I have these two big sacks of white rice. They're not massive like you can get over at the regular, store. You can get rice relatively cheap, but they still have these nice, decently sized portions of rice over at the Dollar Tree. Next we have beans right here, both red and pinto beans. And then we have just a bunch of various different canned goods. There are soups, there are beans, there are mixed vegetables. I kind of bought 2 of everything because that's just kind of like my general rule. Whenever I go to the dollar store, I like to double up on everything. So perishables and canned goods. All of these things are going to have an extremely long shelf life if you make sure that you store them in a proper environment and in a proper storage container. I have an example of that at the end of the video that I can show you guys, so that way you can kind of see what I'm working with in terms of my storage. These types of things are also good, not just because they're perishables and they'll last for a long time, but they're also very protein and carbohydrate heavy. This means they're going to give you plenty of energy and stuff like that, and you need food that's going to be able to keep your energy reserves up for a decently long period of time, so that way, you can't get regular meats and stuff like that. It's not going to be the tastiest stuff, but it's going to keep your energy levels decently high and keep you healthy. All right, so perishables is the first thing. Let's move on. So besides your refrigeration units going out when the electricity gets cut off, we also have to think about water and hygiene, right? The days of hot or even cold showers is going to be far behind you if that happens, and so it's very important you maintain a level of hygiene, not just because it makes you feel better and keeps morale up and everything, but it's also really important so that way sickness and different disease and stuff like that doesn't spread. And if you're going for a long period of time without direct medical aid, you want to make sure you stay as healthy as you possibly can. And so for that reason, my second pickup was going to be baby wipes. Now, for everyone that was in the military, my fellow veterans out there, you all know what it's like to have a baby wipe shower after you've spent, a good solid week or two out in the field with no running water whatsoever. Baby wipe showers, they by no means are a replacement for, a direct water shower with body wash and shampoo and stuff, but they are absolutely better than nothing. In these particular cases, actually, they have 64 wipes per case and usually use around 2 or 3 wipes per baby wipe shower session. So depending on the size of your body and everything and just how soiled you are. So these will actually last you a decently long time as long as you use them in a proper way. So baby wipes, can't go wrong. Okay, so continuing on with the whole electricity has failed and now we need to rely on more primitive methods of keeping our lives relatively comfortable and healthy. Moving on to like the lights, right? So the electricity fails, you're not going to have light, and you need to make sure at night you're able to see at least to a little bit so you can do what you need to at night if you're going to end up doing stuff at night. Now obviously I have batteries over here just like this. Let's take a look. I have batteries right here, but I also have these, and these are tea candles. Tea light candles are a very good secondary option to battery powered devices. I highly recommend you buy these. They have a lasting life of about 4 hours per candle if you just burn them continuously, and these are 20 packs. So these are actually relatively small compared to some of the other packs here. Let me look real quick. Yeah, I actually got this over at the dollar store, in a different dollar store, and each dollar store is going to be a little bit different slightly. But I got one of these over at the dollar store, and this is what, a 50 pack? So this is plenty of light that you're going to be able to have in case the electricity goes out. Tea lights are also very good for starting fires if you're going to end up building a fire in your backyard or on your deck if you feel like it's a safe thing to do, or if it really comes to that and you need to build a fire to cook food or do whatever. Tea lights are very good for building a fire, a bigger fire. Now when it comes to batteries, these are alkaline e-circuit type batteries. I prefer the Duracell ones because Duracell have a lifespan of 10 years inside of the packaging. I'm not quite sure what the lifespan is of these, but I'm sure it can't be too much worse. So batteries are also very important for powering flashlights and any other battery powered devices and stuff like that. And you can pick up plenty of packs over the dollar store of every type of battery. So let's put our batteries over here, and then let's also put our tea lights right there. Okay, next, continuing on, let's go for some other basic stuff. Well, tea lights are good, Holland, but if I end up having to make fire, how am I going to make fire? Yes, you could use very primitive methods like bow techniques and stuff like that to build a fire, but obviously it's much more simple just to buy some lighters and utilize a lighter to make your fire. These are actually the smallest packs of lighters I have ever seen at a dollar store. I have a much bigger packs in my other bag here. I'll show you. Yeah, see, here's one pack of 5 right there. That's 4 right there in 2 individual packs. This is 5 in a single pack. This was also picked up at a different dollar store. Buy a lot of these. They're very cheap, and they're obviously going to help things go a long way in case you need to build a fire and don't really know how to do so with primitive techniques. Next, item number 5, we have binding materials. Binding materials are things that are going to help you secure doorways, rebuild and repair things that have broken apart if necessary, build new things in case you feel like you need to build new things like better shelters or reinforcements to doorways or reinforcements to windows, but you don't have nails and stuff like that. These things will help in a pinch. So binding materials, what are they? Well, they're a whole bunch of different stuff. Right here, I personally prefer zip ties. I use zip ties a lot in the military. They're almost wonder workers when it comes to repairing things and keeping things together. Then you have other adhesives like electrical tape. They also had duct tape over at the dollar store too, just much smaller rolls. But they have different types of tape, so there's that. And then at this particular dollar store, I really couldn't believe it when I saw it. They have 550 cord, they have paracord. Paracord, anyone who's in the military, we use this stuff all the time. It's very, very good. Rope in general is such an important survival tool, and you have to make sure you have a good amount of it. Besides the 550 cord, they also had these little 50-foot strands of regular rope right here, this little like nylon rope and everything. It works really, really well. It is very, very cheap. It's $1, so hey, why not pick up a few rolls just in case? Next, moving on to medical supplies. Now, they had a whole bunch of medical supplies over in the dollar store, a bunch of individual packages. I didn't feel the need to pick up a whole lot because I already have a whole lot, but I picked up a few things just to show you guys. So they have stuff here like these elastic bandages and everything. These aren't very long. They're, what, 3 inches, but hey, just enough in order to cover up a basic wound. Here we have gauze pads and stuff like that. Gauze pads, very important for stopping hemorrhaging and everything. They also had a bunch of Band-Aids, packs of Band-Aids, packs of stuff like that. But most importantly, they also had isopropyl and they also had hydrogen peroxide. Isopropyl and hydrogen peroxide, I mean, if the water stops flowing and there's really no way to clean things besides baby wipes, you want to make sure you're able to sanitize wounds or just really sanitize everything in general to keep things as healthy as possible. They had small rolls of medical tape just like this. So if you make a bandage, you need to adhere it together. This is the way to do it. And finally, last but not least, they have 8-count tissue packs. And last but not least, they have 8-count individual packs of tissues. So tissues are useful for a few reasons. It's not just wiping things up and keeping things clean, use as toilet paper and stuff like that, or use as bandaging for wounds in a pinch, but also very good for fire starting and stuff like that, right guys? You can take this stuff, tear it up, use a little bits of it to help set on fire with your lighters, ignite those small sticks. If you go out in your backyard, you find some small tinder sticks and stuff like that, it can help you build a fire, make your life a lot easier. So let's add that to our pack. Okay guys, so those are all the things that I managed to buy over at the dollar store in this one particular trip. And what I want to reiterate is you don't have to go out and spend a whole lot of money in one giant trip, even at the dollar store. What you can do is you can go and you can buy some of these things over time. And over a long period of time, just accrue more and more and more and add it gradually to the stores that you have at home. So that way, over the course of a few months or a year or so, you have an actually large store of supplies that you might need in a situation where you're not able to get to the store. Hopefully it can last you a decently long amount of time. And over time, just accrue things and stuff like that. You don't have to go out and break the bank your first trip over to the dollar store. But I'm sure a lot of you are curious, well, this is a decent amount of stuff right here. How much did this cost you? Well, I got the receipt right here, and the answer is 33 bucks. 33 bucks for stuff that's going to potentially save your life. And this is stuff that I bought. I mean, I bought 2 of everything. You don't even have to do that. If I went out and I bought this stuff, all of this stuff over at, let's say, like a regular store, I'm willing to bet it'd be like double that. So I kind of hope that goes to show you guys that you don't need to spend a whole lot of money on being a good prepared individual. You can go out and you can buy a decent amount of materials and supplies without having to break the bank. There really is, in my opinion, no excuse. If you have things like the dollar store where everything is $1, you go and you spend 33 bucks on supplies, that money is well spent towards making yourself a better prepared individual for yourself and your family, but also at the same time, you're not spending a whole lot, so your wife or your husband's gonna get really pissed off at you. Now, all of this stuff here is gonna go into my personal stores since I bought it, but really quick, let me show you what I use for my personal storage for storage of this material. All right, guys, so I mentioned before that I was gonna go over the storage devices that I use to keep my perishables and to keep my other equipment and stuff like that nice and clean and away from moisture. So that way, if I ever do have to use this type of stuff, it's gonna be in good condition. And once again, going with the theme of this video, I'm gonna keep the casing itself also something that you can pick up very easy and on the cheap side. So this particular case is a Sterilite case. The logo's upside down right now, but it says Sterilite. And I picked these up over at Target actually for about 20 bucks a pop, which is surprising how cheap they are considering how good, in my opinion, they are. One good thing I really like about them is that they have a 4-way locking mechanism. So there's 4 different, cinch down locks, one on the front, left side, right side over here, and then on the back as well. This 4-way locking mechanism makes sure that the whole top stays down nice and solid. I don't really like the plastic cases that have one on each side because then these sides tend to start to break and you start to see splitting over here on the left and right sides where the locks are, and it just kind of compromises the integrity of the storage device. The other thing I like about it is if I lift the top up, you'll notice that there is this rubberized foam coating on the inside. And while it's not like Gorilla Case or Pelican Case level durable and everything, this will help keep a lot of moisture and a lot of dust out of the case and stop your stuff from getting spoiled. And inside this case, I have all the stuff that I mentioned before. These are all just different things I've accrued from the dollar store. These are my personal stores. I have a few more cases along with a few Pelican cases that I got from the military in my closet. It's kind of funny. The right side of our closet is my side. The left side of my closet is my girlfriend's side. On her side, she has all of her clothes and shoes and stuff like that. On my side, I have nothing but Pelican cases full of gear. But I have different cases like this. I have Pelican cases and I also have these Sterilite cases. These Sterilite cases in general are used for my non-food items. So I have, all my different stuff, like my baby wipes, my batteries, my fire starting material, my lighters, my candles, stuff like that in here. And then in my other cases, my Gorilla cases or other Sterilite cases, I have my non-perishables. I have my rice, my beans, my canned goods, stuff like that. And I store all of those in the closet in our bedroom. It's very cool, it's dark, and it's, a good spot to keep things so that way, the moisture and the heat doesn't get to them. So ultimately, the most important thing is that you make sure that your house is as best prepared as you can possibly make it. I know a lot of people talk about in a shit hits the fan scenario, oh, well, I have my bug out bag, I'm gonna bug out from this place. The only time I would ever really advise doing that is if you're in a severely heavily populated area, a place like New York City, Manhattan, Los Angeles, anywhere like that where there's gonna be mobs of people rushing for the grocery stores, the gun stores, different stuff like that. But where I live in a city, but I live on the outskirts of a city, and it's not even really a big city. And I have a feeling that my apartment in this case is going to be a good base of operations in case anything like that happens. I still have a bug out bag. I still have a plan in case we do need to evac and stuff like that. But in most cases, I think you'll find your house is going to be the place where you make your stand. And you want to make sure your house has the provisions necessary to make sure that your family stays healthy and fed and safe. And besides, all of the really expensive stuff like guns, ammunition, a water filtration system, etc., 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 that's the stuff you can buy much later on when you have the money. This basic stuff, I find, is the stuff that most Americans, most people in general, have very little of. And that's the most important thing you have to understand. So I hope I showed you today that there really is no excuse when it comes to finances. You can go out and you can buy decent materials and decent supplies for on the cheap over at the dollar store to help better prepare your house and your family. So students, that is today's class. It's a quickie. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope it was informative and educational. I should be able to get that firearms video out within the next few weeks. Please forgive me if it takes a little bit longer, but again, I have to make it to the range. So with that being said, class is dismissed. I hope you all have a safe and happy weekend. Be safe to all. Stay healthy, stay prepared, because remember, victory loves preparation. Have a good one, guys.